taught. Here in the previous class, Madam taught the introduction of the object-oriented analysis and design. Here, object-oriented analysis and design, especially what is object? You are already studying the OOPS concept and deeply studying the DBMS concept. What is the object? Anybody say that you can simply say that the entity of interest. That is what is the object. Here, that is the object-oriented analysis and design. What is the need of the object-oriented analysis and design? What is the need? To satisfy our customer needs. That is, we go for study. That is the object-oriented analysis. That is a software engineering approach that models a system as a group of interacting objects. It carried by state, class, state, and behavior. That study we are deeply studied. Next thing, and go here the analysis and come to the design. First, we have to tell that is the analysis. Here, anybody say what is analysis? What is design? Say their analysis. That is the identity of object. Design, how to implement. Is it correct?
Yes, sir.
Last class we taught no. Any doubts? Analysis, that is the identity of an object. Design, how to implement. Here that is the object one, that is the object plus communication plus classification plus inheritance. Based on the OOPS concept, we have to enroll the OAD. That is class followed by the main function. So I have to, the object want to interacting with the system, that interacting with the functions. That function design the class. The object here the class is a collection of data and methods. Here the object that are going to invoke the certain methods that are to be defined in the class. That is we are discussed. That is the object-oriented analysis and design. Now here that is an analysis. Before design, we had noted down that is the analysis. Analysis what? The investigation of the problem. What is the problem statement? What are the requirements are needed? First, we have noted down that the analysis. So that is I saw that is what that is initially I tell that is the identification object. That is on finding the description of object. It's a correct identification object. That is finding and the description of the object. Next, we come simply. I'm going to tell that the design. What is design? I told no initially. How to implement? That is the design. Here in the analysis, we have to collect the raw materials. Here we have to collect some ideas. That is the need to fulfill our requirements. That requirements given by the customer or user. Here in the analysis, we collect the raw materials or ideas that to fulfill the requirements based on the user needs, customer needs. Simply it shows the description of what is the database schema. That is we can the collectivity show the application domain features. In the diagrammatic way, I will tell. Here next, that is the object-oriented design. I can madam explain along with the good example. The book that is the followed by the title of the book name, followed by the title of the author name, like that. That is I can define as the data member. Here the content I can define in the methods. That is I can see we have to see in the that is the get chapter. That is the thing. That is domain concept. That is the process of object-oriented decomposition and notation for distributing the logic and physical as well as static and dynamic model of the system. Okay. Now here I want to note down the difference between analysis and design. That is I tell that the identification of an object. Here the design I can simple word how to implement. The identification refers to the analysis. A collectivity of ideas that raw material that are going to implement the design part. Okay. Now here in this class we are going to deeply discuss that is the unified process. Here the unified process. Here it is generally described the generic process of the system. Here why we go for the unified process? Simply I can tell in a good example. Day by day, our needs, our requirement is to be of enormously large, is to be grow. mean parallelly the software quality of the software quality is also to be needed. So I have to produce the enormous amount of high quality software. Then only it will satisfy our needs within the predictable schedule and budgets. So we have discussed that is the unified process. What is a unified process? That is what? It is a process of building an object-oriented system. Building an object-oriented system. What is the need of object-oriented? Because day by day needs, our activities, that is what here the is to be of enormous growth. Our needs is to be enormous vary, is to be grow. So based on the vary and growth, here the same high quality of software also we have to produce. That is a production of high quality software that meets the user needs. Is it understood? It shall be the process given by the Jacob Gray-Broch and James Rambock in 1999. Here the unified process characteristic. Here there are 4 phases are there. Especially I think this slide we stopped, I think so, in the previous class. Inception, elaboration, and construction and transition. So what I deliver, please note down, I tell with some real-time example also. Some example are not mentioned in the slide also. At the time you have to take down the example. It is easy to remember what I taught my concepts. Here, especially that is the elaboration, construction, transition is what are the is a time series iteration, is a time series or iteration. That is what it can be divided into series of time box iteration. Inception phase may also be divided into iteration for a larger project. Yeah, we have to discuss one by one in the elaborate manner. Inception, elaboration, construction, transition. So here the iteration, especially, okay, lay out that thing. What is the need of iteration? If you do one work, the same work has to be done again. Again, the third time, that is again this work has to be done. Here the quality of the work has to be improved. Is it correct or not? One time you did work, second time you did work, third time you did the same work, then the quality of the work is to be improved. First time you analyze some mistake, you have to analyze that within the time not able to finish the work. So we need some extra requirement. Here the second time you have to collect the ideas, again do the same work. So compared to the first work, the second work is somewhat better. Third work it is satisfied to you. Here there is a several iteration. Now I am going to tell that is the thing one by one. Each iteration result in increment, which is the result of a system that contains added or improved functionality. Okay. Now the inception phase. That is the initial phase, first phase of the unified process. Here that is the indication of excessive upfront specification. Here, first initially, what is the need? We have to identify the. If I give the project to you, we have to identify justify what is the base case for the project. What's the justification of the project? Next thing, what is the scope and boundary condition? What are the limitation factors is there in the project? What is the project? What is the scope of the project? What are the condition? We have to inevitable notable. Second, next thing that we have to outline the use case and key requirement. We have to collect what are the key requirements. So here in that case, you have to face some problem. What are the problems generally faced? You have to collect some materials. The requirement is not to fulfill or satisfy for the project needs. So it gives some identification of risk factors. In some cases, due to the insufficient resource, the project not able to stable. That is not give the feasibility. So these are the factors initially taken into account before we have to start the project. What is the justification of business case? What is the justification of the project? That is the business case. What is the scope of the project? What are the conditions exist in the project? So we have to finish the project at some time. That within the cost schedule also. Here the cost schedule, don't consider money. We have to look for the what? Software tool, hardware, any resources, raw material, sufficient resource are there to fulfill the project. We have to do the project. So these are identify risk we have to see in the initial phase. So before start the project, we have taken into account. We have to do the project. Okay. So now I tell some of the sentence in a clear way, simple way. What I deliver, you have to take down the notes. It is helpful to you. You have to write in your exam in your own way also. Okay. So that is the producer I estimate cost and schedule. Inception phase. That is the goals of the inception phase. Second phase. The second phase, that is the elaboration phase. Yeah, the elaboration.
Pradeep sir, sorry to disturb sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Please be close to the mic and speak, sir. Now it is little low, your volume.
Now it's audible or not, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Little bit
audible,
closer. No? Yes, sir. But it was not that much previously.
Okay. Now, okay.
Okay, sir. You continue.
Okay. Here in the second phase, that is the elaboration phase is there. Here in the elaboration phase, we have to capture the majority of the system requirements. Majority of the, here in the initial phase also, we collect some of the requirements. Here the elaboration phase, we have to collect some more requirements also. Then only it is to avoid the risk. Here initially we note down some risk factors in the inception phase. Here in the elaboration phase, we have taken the account we have to do. So here the common process undertaking in this phase include the creation of the creation of use case diagram, conceptual diagram, and package diagram. So these are the common process taken the account. So here the use case diagram, conceptual diagram, and package diagram is that. These are all come under as the UML. UML, what is the expansion of UML? Anybody says? Last time also, beginning of the class, I strongly recommended the word UML. What is the expansion of UML? Anybody knows? Say. It's audible, my voice. Dear students, catch up my voice or not? UML, Unified Modeling Language. It's audible. Okay, it's correct. Unified Modeling Language. So here the totally 9 diagrams are there. Next topic we have to discuss, that is UML diagram in a clear way. The UML diagram is very important to you. That UML diagram only you are going to draw in the lab. Based on the well-defined syntax diagram, here some code is generated. I will tell clear afterwards. Now that is the architecture is validated primarily to the implementation of executable architecture baseline. Here the partial implementation of system, which include the core, most architecturally significant component. It is built in a series of small time box iteration. Okay, that is the partial implementation of the system needs. Here we have to take partial implementation of the system needs. I have again the diagrammatic manner. We have to note down the things. Okay. Next we come to the third phase, that is the construction phase. Here the construction phase is the largest phase in the project. Here the remainder of the system is built on the foundation of elaboration. Here the implementation, it is in the series of short time box iteration. Here in the construction phase, I can give an example. Here that is the several iterations are to be taken place. Before starting the unified phase, I tell you, here each and every iteration, then only we have to give the good design, good shape of the project. First iteration, it is satisfy only like the 50 to 60% of the user needs. Second iteration, again it will satisfy 75 to 80% of the user needs. Again we go for the third iteration, it is satisfy the 95% of the projects. So each and every iteration, we have to design the good shape, do good design of the project. So that is the thing. So that is the iteration result gives. That is the construction. So here also we will look for the time box iteration. First initially I took, that is the first time I do the work, I took, that is the 3 hours. Second time the same work has to be do. We redefine the work, 2 hours, some modification. Third time only half an hour I finish the work. So here also the common UML diagram I can use. Here in the activity, sequence, collaboration, state, and interaction diagram. Here in the previous construction, I can use the activity, sequence, collaboration, state, interaction diagram. Here also. Okay. Now we come to the transition phase. The transition phase, that is the final phase of the project. The phase of the project is deployed to the target user. The feedback received from the initial release may result in further refinement to be incorporated over the course of the several transition phase. Here that is the feedback collection. Here after defining the after finish the project from the construction phase, here I want to get the feedback from the customer. Customer, what is the project world? The project is satisfied, that is your needs. That is the thing. So that is transition also includes the system conservation and the user training. We have to run the project in a successful way. It will satisfy all the criteria or not. We have to check. So totally 4 phases are there. So what are the 4 phases? Students tell ma. At least tell the heading. What are the 4 phases in unified process? Tell. It's audible, my voice? It's audible or not? Dear students, it's audible? What are the 4 phases? Tell ma. Because you have to, at least here in the slide I can show now what are the 4 phases. That is the thing. What is the thing? That is inception, elaboration, construction, and then what? Transition. Yeah, good. Here the inception. Just we have to identify. We have to collect the raw materials. We have to here the raw materials. It will satisfy our needs, user needs. We are here in this case. You have to identify some risk factors because that requirement is well needed or not to finish the project. So that is the feasibility. That is the feasibility parameter. So initially start the project. This factor are taken into account to do the project well. Is it clear or not? I give the project to you. Initially, I have to think what software tool is needed, what database is needed, what are the any data collections are needed. Initially, we have to think like that. That is the inception phase. Now, here the elaboration phase. Here what based on the risk pattern, in addition to that, some more information or some more factors also taken upon. That is the elaboration phase. Here in the elaboration phase, I can draw with the help of case diagram, conceptual diagram, package diagram. 3 diagrams are needed. Note down, 3 diagrams are needed to draw in the elaboration phase. They will ask in the exam, what are the diagrams are needed to draw in the elaboration. One time they will ask. Because OAD is subject, the subject is there in the engineering syllabus for nearly 19 years. From the 2002 regulation onwards, the subject is there. Okay. So this diagram, I think, is frequently asked question. What are diagrams? Refer in the elaboration phase. They ask 2 or 3 times. I remember. Okay, they take down the question. So what I tell, some important points you have to note down. So the implementation that is in the executive architecture baseline. It's a small iteration box only. Here the construction phase is what? It's large. I told. Each and every iteration, then only we have to make the good design, good shape of the project. First, that is the thing. That is the executive. Then only after that, after the final result, it will satisfy all the needs. then we can release our software, because it will fulfill the condition. According to the condition, according to the what only we have to design the software. Is it? So here in this diagram, here in this phase, we have to draw the activity, sequence, collaboration, state, and interaction diagram. Similarly, the question also it will ask, what are the diagrams used for in the construction phase? Activity diagram, sequence diagram, collaboration diagram, state and interaction diagram. Okay. Now we come to the transition phase. Transition phase is that is the last phase. Here the refinement. Here after finishing the project has to be released. We have to check it will satisfy all the conditions. It will satisfy all the needs. That is, it shows the end of the transition phase. So totally 4 phases are there. Is important thing. Here in the book, some complicated diagrams there. That followed by the diagram, you have to write the enormous point along with some good examples. Okay, that is the 4 phases are finished in that topic today. Inception, unified process. If you are having any doubt, you can ask. You can note down the slide. I will explain the information also. Some keyword is new to you. No problem. Don't make shine. I will explain that keyword also, because some of the keywords you are not familiar. This subject we have to remember. We have to remember and learn much more keyword. Okay, I will tell meaning also. What is the meaning of the keyword? Okay. Shall I go for next topic? Okay. UML. That's very important thing. Okay. That is UML. What is UML? Unified Modeling Language. Okay. What is the need here? You can specify the construction, visualize, and document. It's a graphical and diagrammatic representation to define the scope of the project. Here I'm going here in the diagram. What are diagrams? First initially, sir. Initially in the first year I studied here the flow chart diagram. Sir, I draw in the Python lab, C lab. So, sir, here in the ER diagram, I draw in the DBMS lab, sir, you told like that. Here also, so whatever diagram, we are having some standard symbols and components are there. Even for here in the ER diagram also. Is it right or not? Based on the symbols and notation components, we have to enroll the diagram. We have to enroll and draw the beautiful diagram. So here also, UML also, there are some, the standard notations and components are well designed package there in the tool. Okay, that is based on, we have to collect the tool, we can draw. I will tell in the last class. So okay, now here the UML is a standard language for specifying, visualizing, constructing and documenting the object of the software system, as well as for business modeling and other non-software system. Okay. That is the standard language for specifying, visualizing, constructing and documenting the object of the software system, as well as for the business modeling and other non-software system. Okay. Now, what are the features of UML? This question also several times they ask the exam. So, especially here in the PPT you saw the yellow color, that is the standard key points and keywords. Don't forget the standard key points and keyword at any time. What are the features of the UML? Immediately say at least you have to remember the key points also. So that is the thing. It's a developing of especially UML is a developing of that is software only. It's a developing of software and the software development process only. That is we go for the UML. Okay, that is the developing the object-oriented software and the software development process. Okay. Here that is a graphical representation. Simply next one is a graphical notation to express the design of the software project. It's a graphical notation used to express the design of the software project. We are easy to communicate and explore the designs and validate the architecture design of the software. explore the design and validate the architecture design of the software. Next, the components support the requirement of this complex system. So you ask one question, sir, so many diagrams are there. What do you need for this diagram? What is necessary to define different types of diagram? Now I can explain the different types in the further coming PPT. No problem. That is the thing, because each and every UML diagram shows different perspective, different needs. Each and every UML diagram have different perspective and different needs, different requirements for the customer. So that we go for the different types of UML diagram. So it is okay. UML is a language. It is not only simplify a notation for drawing a diagram, but a complete diagram for capture knowledge. So here the logical flow of the diagram is that based on the logical flow, here we have to understand what is the application. What is the runtime enrollment is that the thing. For example, hello, it's audible my voice? Dear students, audible my voice? Say yes or no, ma'am. It's audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can continue.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Now that is the thing. It's a language. It's not only simply a notation for drawing a diagram. It's a complete language for capturing knowledge. It applies to a modeling and system. Yeah, the modeling involves a focus on understanding the subject and the capturing, being able to communicate this knowledge. Applies to the modeling and system. I can tell one example. Here, that is the reservation system is there. Reservation system that may be of either railway reservation system. Here the movie ticket reservation system. Several modelings are there. So here we have to focus on that is at the instance. We have to note down at the scenario what action is there. That is the thing. We have to say about yesterday I booked this much number of seats vacancy is available. Today this limited number of seats only is there. That is the thing. At the instant, it shows the scenario, current scenario. That is the applied to modeling system. Yeah, the involves the focus on understanding subject and the capturing and being able to communicate that knowledge. So here it can focus on that is the various perspectives like design, implementation, and deployment. Here the deployment that we can say what are the testing cases. The project can involve several conditions are there. Depending upon the situation, what criteria condition is there? That is deployment. The project can have several conditions, several conditions are there. Based on the scenario, based on the requirement, what conditions there? So especially the futures of UML. Main thing we have to express the design of the software, express the design of the software project is not only a notation for drawing and diagram, but a complete language for capturing knowledge. Applied to the modeling and system. Drawn from different perspective. Just mainly, that is the important key points I mentioned in the yellow color. Okay. Now, the goals of UML. What are the goals of UML? That is it's ready to use expressing visual modeling language so they can develop and exchange the meaningful models. That is expressing that is a visualization. Whatever it needs, whatever the runtime, whatever any application, any complex application, any runtime environment, we can be easily expressed in a well-defined grammatical way. Sorry, diagrammatic way. That is the thing. That is the goals of UML. Doesn't bother about the project doesn't bother about the scenario, we can express. What is the goals of UML? Here the it provides the extensibility and specialization mechanism to extend the core concept. Here in that is the what is the conversation, communication between the several objects, several items. We can easily express. Here it doesn't bother about the programming language. It doesn't bother about the programming language. Here, based on the notations and components only, we have to draw the diagram. Okay, doesn't bother about the programming language. Next thing is what? Understanding the modeling language. Understanding modeling the design of the model is good. Design of the model what? That is the diagrammatic flow, graphical flow of the diagram is all good. It gives a clear pictorial representation, the conversation. What is the application, what is the conversation is taken place in the project, we can easily saw in the diagram. That is engage the growth of object-oriented tool markets. It supports the higher level development concepts such as collaboration, framework, pattern, and component. Integrate best practices. So these are all the goals of the UML. So immediately say what are the points you have to immediately to remember, especially it expresses the visual modeling language. Express the visual modeling language. What is visual modeling language? The graphical pictorial of the representation of the diagram using UML is clearly defined and well good. Different perspective taken place. That is a visual modeling of language. That is a provide extensively in specialization. That means what is extensively specialization? The conversation among the components is well good. The conversation and message passing between the components there in the diagram is well and good. That is the extensively specialization. This also doesn't bother about the programming language. It is to be independent. That is a well modeling language. Well modeling language, it should clearly comfort language. It's the growth of the object-oriented tool is I. Object-oriented, where I can say what is the object-oriented tools? Yes, we have to base on the component, we have to collect the components, collect the tools, then only you can draw the diagram. So, yes, graphical views also I. So that is a what? That is a for our needs, the tools are also highly factored. That's the growth of the object-oriented tool side. So that it employs the concept of collaboration, framework, pattern, and components. So these are the beautiful concepts I explained the goals of UML. Especially, please, dear students, please note down the valuable key points. Okay, then only you can easily remember. That is standard points. Note down. While we study the book, entire lines are to be merged in a single para with a complex sentence. Here I can break down the sentence I represent a simple English way so that you can easily write in your own. Take down the valuable points. Now we come to the UML notations. The UML notation, that is the UML notation are the most elements in modeling. It should be efficient and appropriate use of notations. Here notation, what is notation? That means what? The components. The next only completely diagrammatic only. So from the diagrammatic you can easily understand what is the notation, what are the components, how to draw the diagram. Then I think maybe in the next class I tell in the good example. Different notation, different components are available there. Then only it show the relation. For example, I want to relate from one component to the another component. So what relation is there? We have to make represent. That is also important. Then only you can understand the flow of diagram. There are several components there in the diagram. Each and every component linked with to the line. It should be in the dotted line, light line, dark line. So many lines are there. So each that is along with some passage mechanism. You have to understand what is the relations, what is the message passing from one component to the another component. Then only we can understand the meaningful and the scenario of the project. So that is it. Here the use for notation. Here the aggregation. Aggregation, what is the new keyword? What is the aggregation? Anyone knows? The new keyword is that delivery information product to the knowledge. That is the thing. Delivery information product, that's the aggregation. That is the thing. Delivery of information is good. Yeah, that is aggregation. That's important keyword part. Note down. Inheritance. That is the what? That is a and function is in hierarchy of the flow is well and good. Message sending. That is what the passing the message from one component to the another component in a clear way. That is in a hierarchy way. Again, the representation of autonomous object and the asynchronous message passing. Yeah, the asynchronous message passing the what? The one-way communication, synchronous and asynchronous. No. One-way communication, two-way communication. This is also like that. That the communication between the two objects. The support for constraint, representation, and the enforcement. So that is the thing. Notation used for representing. Aggregation, inheritance, the functional hierarchy of the diagram is well and good. Message for sending and passing is there. One-way to communication between the several components also well and good. What is the support for constraint and refinement? Okay. Now we come to the types of UML diagram. Here in this class, there are just I tell I'm going to stop and then last 7 minutes I'm going to refine the topic. What are the diagrams? How many diagrams are there? How many diagrams? I told no, 9 diagrams. That is the same 9 diagrams is there. Is correct? Yeah, that is the 9 diagrams only is there. Sequence diagram, first use case diagram, class diagram, object diagram, component diagram, deployment diagram, activity diagram, state chart diagram, collaboration diagram, sequence diagram. So total how many diagrams are there? Totally 9 diagrams are there. These 9 diagrams only we have to draw the project for the entire semester. If I give one activity, one project to you, based on the needs of the project, based on scenario of the project, we have to draw all the 9 types of diagram for the particular project. The project that is a foreign trade system, that is the inventory system. Next one is the reservation system. Like so many, that is a library management system. So many projects are there. For whatever project, we have to draw 9 different types of diagram for the project. So that is the thing. So now we come to this is the end of section. I'm going to tune the subject. Okay. I'll ask some question. We have to say something. We have to remember. Then only we can see what I taught, what I note down. It is helpful to you. Okay. What are the phases are there in the unified process? Anybody says? Please be answer. What are the 4 phases? At least any one student tell. What are the 4 phases are there? 4 phases I tell with good example also.
Any one of you unmute and tell, because sir can't view the chat simultaneously. No need to put in chat. Unmute your mic and tell, or else we will call the names randomly.
That is shown. It is shown in the PPT also, ma.
Yes, sir, we got it in chat, sir. Vignesh answered.
Okay, no problem. That's the thing. That is the 4 phases are there. That is the inception, elaboration, construction, and transition. Just simply, at least within a millisecond, we have to remember at least one single point for each cases. Inception, that is the initial phase. Here, that is the initial phase that we have to. That is where it is a. We have to here in the initial phase. First, we have raw materials taken into account that it will fulfill the customer or not. So in that case, we have to identify some risk factors that shows to the feasibility. Before start the project, we have to identify this certain set of activities, futures. We go for the project. Initially, we can start the project. What are difficulties are there? What are the challenging difficulty we face? Before that, we have to analyze. After starting the project, then don't instead So this difficulty phase. Before that, we have to analyze. That is the initial inception phase. Here, that is the elaboration phase. In the end, the elaboration phase, in addition to that risk factor, some more requirements also taken into account. So here in the elaboration phase, the second phase, especially T diagram on case diagram, conception phase, package diagram, three diagram used for in the elaboration phase. This question asked several times in the university exam. What are diagrams refer in the elaboration phase? That is include the code. That is each and every model. We have to identify the code and the architecture significant components. It is in a small time series bound iteration. That is the elaboration phase. While if we come to the construction phase, what are things I told now? Serve each and every iteration, then only good shape and good design of the project can be made. Is it correct? That is the thing. Then so first time I can do, I took large amount of time. Second time I can do some moderate time. Third time I can do little bit time, but I can design good project. So here also what are diagrams referred? They will ask activity diagram, sequence, collaboration, state diagram. That is the construction phase. Next one is transition phase. That is the final phase. It will fulfill all the user needs for the customer. We have to, after releasing the project, we have to test. It will fulfill all the user needs. Then only can release our software. So totally 4 phases are there. So that's the inception, elaboration, construction, and transition phase. Very important question in the first unit. Now we come to the UML diagram. UML diagram, what is the need of UML diagram? You can say that is for specifying, visualizing, constructing, and documenting the object of the software system. That is, I can specify in the green word, specifying, visualizing, constructing, and documenting the object of the software system. That is important keyword. Here, to the diagrammatic representation, pictorial representation, we have to understand what is the scenario of the project. Here, the futures of UML. Here also, they will ask in the 4 because here in the OAD, so many split up questions they will ask. Not only they will give the 13 marks question, some split up it will take in the futures of UML. What is the future? It's a diagrammatic notation to represent the software project. Graphical notation to express the design of the software project. That is the thing. It is not only language. It's a notation for drawing a diagram to define a particular language. Okay. That is the thing. That is applied to modeling and system. Applied to modeling and system. Here we can apply it for all the views. Doesn't bother about the complexity of the project. Doesn't bother about the scenario. Whatever project, whatever scenario, whatever we can easily decide. So we have to refer so many diagrams, different perspectives. Yeah, what is the goal of UML? That is the goal of UML. That is a visual modeling language, graphical representation language, pictorial representation view. That is the visual modeling language. Extensibility and specialization. It can define the concept well. It is not necessary to write the code. Only diagrammatic representation. Only we have to interlink all the components. We have to give the working flow of the. We have to represent the working flow of the project. That is the growth of the object oriented to so day by day our needs and are to be enormously grow then and then. So at the same time components and tools the OAD design. Okay. Yeah, actually you are
Sir? Pradeep sir?
Yes, ma. Konchi dachi, ma. Netti
Yes,
kattachi.
with
Okay,
this we can stop, sir.
okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay, listen. So that is the goals of your next class. We have to deeply discuss the types of UML. Before start the class, please remember all the concepts. Take down the notes. Then only you can able to follow in next class. Yes, ma'am. We can wind up, ma'am.